Orlovsky would sit up there. Now correct me if I'm wrong, Adam Schefter, the great insider, the ultimate one. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Dan Orlovsky just bring up what the man did last year in college? Because see, I didn't bring up Shedeur and the 72% completion. I didn't bring...
The Cleveland Browns didn't just shuffle the depth chart. They blew it up, tossed it in the fire, and dared the entire NFL world to watch the flames. Andrew Berry, the GM who has made a career out of cautious, calculated moves, suddenly flipped the entire quarterback room into a reality show twist. One moment, Dillon Gabriel looked like the safe, steady option. The next, Shedeur Sanders, the rookie with the spotlight of his father's legacy and a reputation for swagger.
Sanders, right? I mean, there is just so much content, so much debate, so much vitriol over Shedeur Sanders. They have remained relevant even when they're not winning. And I really ended up liking him as a person as well, and I still do. I think they really looked at it and thought, he's going to be fine here. So it really hasn't been him as much as it has been everything around him. And a lot of it is social media and regular media, but it's really not Shedeur putting himself in the eye of the storm. It's more so just all of the ancillary stuff around.
Is suddenly the headline act in Cleveland. Nobody saw it coming, and that's exactly why it's the kind of decision you can't stop watching. And if you love stories like this, make sure you subscribe right now, because this quarterback drama is just getting started. Fans aren't just asking who's going to start. They're asking what in the world is happening inside the Browns front office. Because in a league built on careful planning and wait your turn, quarterback grooming, Berry didn't just skip the line. He threw out the entire waiting room. Shedeur Sanders is now center stage, whether he's ready or not. But let's rewind for a second. This isn't just about a rookie quarterback showing flashes in training camp. This is about a name.
You know what? I think it's unfair for me to comment in I guess maybe on behalf of the industry. All I can say is this, the time that we spent with Shedeur, and what he's done throughout his college career is impressive. He's an impressive young man. He's a really good quarterback. Sometimes fit comes into play, and I'd also say this,
the Sanders name. Shedeur doesn't walk into a facility quietly. He carries a last name that demands attention, one that brings cameras and hot takes before he even throws a pass. Dillon Sanders, primetime himself, has turned everything he touches into a spectacle. And now, his son is stepping into one of the most cursed positions in sports history, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Dillon Gabriel, meanwhile, isn't some scrub. He's polished, experienced, and came into the league with a reputation as one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football. Coaches like his steady hand, his efficient throws, his professional approach. But in Cleveland, that wasn't enough. Because Gabriel is the Corolla, dependable but overlooked. Shedeur is the Ferrari, flashy, risky, and built to turn heads. And Andrew Berry didn't draft a Ferrari just to keep it in the garage. This all started with preseason. Gabriel put together a camp that could be described in one word.
Tell the truth here. Shedeur Sanders killing it in rookie camp, beating out Gabriel in rookie camp. OTAs, mini camp, beating him out there. And then we get to training camp, and we have a run of practices. Dillon Gabriel completing like 20 to 30% of his passes. Shedeur Sanders, that whole time, 70 to 80% of his passes completed. Looking good on the field. There's practices out there where we're waiting for him to get reps. And I'm watching the live tweets, and I'm refreshing.
Safe. Solid numbers. A few nice completions, nothing spectacular. Shedeur, he was chaos. One throw had fans convinced he was the future. Another had coaches putting their heads in their hands. He threw a pick six, he fumbled, and yet he also delivered plays that reminded everyone exactly why he had hype in the first place. If you were looking at the stats, Gabriel looked better. But if you were watching the story unfold, Shedeur was the one you couldn't take your eyes off. And that's where Berry's gamble starts to make sense. Because Cleveland hasn't been starving for efficiency. They've been starving for hope. This is the city where quarterbacks go to die. The franchise that has cycled through starters like fast food orders, with fans barely learning names before they're replaced. Safe hasn't worked. Dependable hasn't worked. And now, Berry is saying, why not swing for the fences? The move instantly split the fan base. Half are convinced Shedeur Sanders is the answer. The the kid who can finally drag the Browns out of quarterback purgatory. The other half think Barry has lost his mind.
In Cleveland, let me know what you guys would do. Would you keep Shedeur? In my opinion, from what I've seen, Shedeur's might be the best quarterback they have on the roster. Yes, you have Flacco, and you don't need to start Shedeur right away, but you have a 5th round pick who could end up being a starter, which you're not really going to have to pay all that much. I think that's a win-win for both the team and Shedeur, but hey, that's just me. Let me know down below if you think he should be the starter, or if you think he even makes...
Trading stability for chaos, headlines for football. But that's the thing about Shedeur. He's not just a quarterback, he's a storyline. He's box office. He's the kind of player who makes even preseason practices trend on social media, who has analysts foaming at the mouth over every snap. Dillon Gabriel might have been the safer bet, but nobody was logging onto Twitter to argue about him. And in today's NFL, where attention is currency, Shedeur is a goldmine. Inside the locker room, players can feel the difference too. There's an energy that comes with swagger. A quarterback who walks into the huddle with confidence, who thrives in the spotlight, makes everyone around him play just a little harder. Shedeur has that energy. Gabriel has experience, yes, but he doesn't electrify the room the same way. And Andrew Berry, for all the criticism, knows what he's doing. He isn't just drafting for skill, he's drafting for culture. Cleveland is a city that's been waiting for a reason to believe. The jersey graveyard of quarterbacks since 1999 is proof enough that playing it safe has gotten them nowhere. By elevating Shedeur, Barry gave fans a dream to latch onto. A quarterback with swagger, a famous last name, and a highlight reel that screams potential. Even if it's risky, sometimes hope is worth more than safety. Of course, the national media couldn't resist. Debates lit up across ESPN, Fox, podcasts, YouTube channels. Was Barry a genius for betting on Shedeur's upside, or a fool for tossing Gabriel aside so quickly? Analysts pulled up stats, college resumes, preseason breakdowns. Gabriel completed a higher percentage in practice. Shedeur threw more touchdowns under pressure in college. Gabriel read defenses more cleanly. Shedeur extended plays like nobody else. Every argument had fuel, but while analysts debated, fans bought jerseys. That's the difference. Shedeur wasn't just competing for a roster spot, he was selling a vision. The story only got juicier when the comparison started. People remembered how Shedeur thrived at Colorado, behind one of the worst offensive lines in the country, taking hits every week and still delivering numbers. He looked like he was running for his life in a weekly survival contest, yet his composure never cracked. If he could survive that circus, then Cleveland's line, flawed as it is, looks like an upgrade. Give him real NFL weapons, give him time in the pocket, and suddenly the flashes of brilliance start to look like something more. But here's the real twist. Andrew Berry didn't make this move in spite of the risks. He made it because of them. Think about it. The Browns have already seen every flavor of quarterback disaster. Playing it safe has gotten them nowhere but laughed at. If Shedeur flames out, it's just another chapter in the book. But if he succeeds, it rewrites the ending entirely. That's the high-stakes gamble Barry wanted. Dillon Gabriel, unfortunately, is caught in the middle of it. He's too good to ignore, too talented to completely discard, and yet he's already been overshadowed. He becomes the side character in a drama that was never his to headline. Fans respect his game, but they're not storming the stadium to chant his name. Shedeur is box office, Gabriel is box score. And in Cleveland, Barry made it clear which one mattered more. Yet, the story isn't as simple as Gabriel being benched and Shedeur being crowned. Because in football, nothing is guaranteed. Shedeur still hasn't thrown a meaningful NFL pass. His mistakes in preseason were real, not imagined. The risk is glaring, but so is the reward. Every interception could bring critics screaming that Gabriel should have been the guy. Every touchdown could validate Barry, as the visionary Cleveland desperately needed. The margin for error is razor thin, and that's exactly what makes it must-watch. For fans, this isn't just football anymore. It's a show, a gamble, a story worth obsessing over. And in Cleveland, that's already a victory. But here's the kicker. The owner of the Browns reportedly wanted nothing to do with Shedeur or the Sanders family. That makes Barry's move even more defiant. He wasn't just betting on a rookie quarterback. He was staking his reputation, his job, maybe even his relationship with ownership, all on a 5th round pick with a famous last name. That's bold. That's reckless. That's Cleveland. And it's exactly the kind of storyline the NFL thrives on. Fans in Cleveland know heartbreak better than anyone. They've seen promising QBs crash and burn. They've lived through draft busts and false hope. But Shedeur Sanders is different, at least in the sense that his story has already transcended the field. He's not just another name in the graveyard. He's the chance, however slim, that Cleveland finally breaks the curse. And Andrew Berry is willing to risk it all to find out. The shockwaves didn't stop at Cleveland. Across the league, other GMs and head coaches were watching closely, some rolling their eyes, others secretly jealous. Because deep down, every franchise knows the truth. The NFL isn't just about winning anymore. It's about relevance. It's about headlines. It's about making people care. And Andrew Berry just made the Browns impossible to ignore. Sports Talk shows plastered Shedeur's face across the screen. Was he the next great rookie sensation? Was he another Johnny Manziel waiting to implode? Every analyst had a take. Every fan had an opinion. And every rival team was suddenly circling their Browns matchup on the schedule. Because one thing's certain, Shedeur Sanders doesn't just play football, he brings a circus. And sometimes a circus is exactly what a franchise needs. The veterans in the locker room, though, are the real test. Coaches can talk about upside all day long, but it's the guys in pads who decide if a quarterback truly belongs. Word started leaking out of training camp that players were buzzing about Shedeur. Not just the highlight throws, but the attitude. The way he'd shake off mistakes, the way he'd command the huddle, the way he carried himself as if he belonged from day one. That's what separates rookies who sink from rookies who swim. And if the locker room is buying into him, then the rest of the league better pay attention. But let's not get it twisted. This isn't a fairy tale. For every great practice moment, there's a rookie mistake waiting around the corner. NFL defenses are faster, smarter, nastier than anything Shedeur has ever faced. The window that was open in college is slammed shut in the pros. Every bad throw will be magnified. Every turnover will be debated on national television. And if the Browns start losing, the same fans who begged for Shedeur will start chanting for Gabriel. That's the cruel balance of NFL life. Which is why Berry's move is such a gamble. He's not just banking on talent, he's banking on resilience. On Shedeur's ability to weather storms that break most quarterbacks. On his willingness to embrace the chaos rather than crumble under it. That's not something you can measure with stats. That's something you find out in the fire. And maybe that's the point. The Browns don't just need a quarterback who can throw touchdowns. They need a quarterback who can survive being the Browns quarterback. And if you've been paying attention, Shedeur Sanders has been surviving storms his entire football life. Remember the Colorado chaos? The worst offensive line in the country. Every week, Shedeur took hits that would break most quarterbacks. He was pressured, sacked, battered. And still he produced. Still he made plays. Still he gave his team a chance. That's resilience you can't fake. And now, Cleveland is betting that resilience will translate to Sundays. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel becomes the ultimate what if. In another city, on another roster, he might have been the guy. The safe, steady, accurate quarterback who builds a 10-year career. But here, he's a backup in a drama bigger than himself. Fans may not chant his name, but don't be surprised if he becomes the most popular man in Cleveland the first time Shedeur struggles. That's the brutal irony. Gabriel might be one interception away from being a hero, even if only for a week. But make no mistake, this is Shedeur's show. The spotlight follows him. The story bends toward him. The NFL thrives on characters, and Shedeur is the kind of character who can define an era, whether it ends in glory or disaster. And let's be real, both outcomes would be unforgettable. Think about it. If Shedeur flames out, it's another entry in the cursed history of Browns quarterbacks. Another sad jersey name to add to the infamous list. But if he succeeds, if he actually thrives, then he doesn't just break the curse. He rewrites history. He takes the Browns from being a punchline to being prime time. He transforms not just the roster, but the city, the culture, the legacy. That's the kind of swing Andrew Berry is taking. Safe doesn't make legends. Risks do. And right now, Berry is swinging for the fences. Of course, fans aren't patient. Week 1 will feel like a playoff game. Every drive will be overanalyzed. Every throw will be slowed down on film. And Shedeur will know, deep down, that the world is waiting to pounce. But here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. pressure doesn't break him. It fuels him. He grew up in pressure. He watched his dad play and live under the brightest lights in sports. He knows the cameras. He knows the doubters. And he knows how to turn that spotlight into fuel. That's why Cleveland's gamble, crazy as it looks, might just work. Because Shedeur isn't just another rookie quarterback. He's a brand, a story, a fighter who's been proving people wrong since the first snap he ever took. And now, he gets the biggest stage of them all. So buckle up, because this isn't the end of the Browns quarterback saga. It's the most dramatic chapter yet. A city starving for a savior. A GM betting his reputation on swagger. A rookie quarterback stepping into the fire with the weight of a legacy on his shoulders. Shedeur Sanders versus the curse of Cleveland. Dillon Gabriel waiting in the shadows. The entire NFL watching to see if this gamble ends in triumph or tragedy. And if you don't want to miss a second of this unfolding drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Because this is only the beginning.